Welcome to Deep Dive, the novel after show. This is the podcast where we uncover the hidden layers, unravel the twists, and explore the worlds within words of the novels of, well, me, J. Kevin Tomlinson. Whether you've just finished the book or you're curious about what's inside, spoilers and all, you're in the right place. Let's dive in.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we'll be taking a look at, a deep dive into the world of historical forgeries and conspiracies. Mysteries, yeah. Centering on a map of Antarctica.
And what makes this one so interesting is we're pulling from a thriller novel, The Antarctic Forgery.
Yeah.
Which uses, fictionalized accounts of actual historical figures and events.
So it's like a treasure hunt disguised as a page turner.
Yeah.
Our mission is to kind of separate the fact from fiction, uncover those little historical nuggets, and piece together the story of this controversial map.
Exactly, yeah. Think of it as historical detective work.
Okay.
Where we're examining the artifact, but also, the people obsessed with it and its potential secrets.
Okay, so let's start with this forged map of Antarctica, supposedly from the 15th century. And what makes it so fascinating is that it depicts the continent before it was covered in ice.
And this is where the novel cleverly connects the forgery to a real map, the Piri Reis map, which is a genuine Ottoman-era map that also shows Antarctica in a pre-glacial state. So then the question becomes, how can a map from the 16th century accurately depict a continent that wasn't discovered until centuries later?
Right.
It's a question that has fueled so many theories and debates.
For sure.
And the novel kind of uses that real-world controversy to give its fictional narrative more plausibility.
Yeah, it's like the author asking, what if the forged map that we're talking about is actually a copy of a genuine ancient map that hasn't been discovered yet,
right,
and what secrets might it hold?
Yeah, exactly. It's that tantalizing what-if scenario that really pulls you in.
Absolutely.
And to make it even more compelling, the novel reveals that this forgery is incredibly well-crafted.
Oh, yeah.
It was made with modern inks and dyes on artificially aged 19th century parchment. So convincing that it fooled experienced authenticators.
Wow.
Even caught the attention of the FBI and their fictional historic crimes division.
Wow. The fact that it was printed, not hand-drawn, makes it even more impressive. It's like somebody went to extraordinary lengths to create this forgery.
Oh, for sure.
The question is why?
Right. What's the motive?
Yeah.
That's the question that really drives this whole narrative. And the novel doesn't just focus on the map itself. It delves into the characters who are just obsessed with it and its potential secrets. And one of those characters is Gail McCarthy.
Okay.
A really powerful figure who's entangled in this vast smuggling empire.
Gail McCarthy, she's like an enigma. She's portrayed as intelligent, resourceful, and she's pretty ruthless. But her motivations are really kind of shrouded in mystery.
A little bit, yeah. And I think her relationship with her grandfather, Edward McCarthy, adds another layer to the story.
Okay.
Because Edward is kind of a reluctant partner in this whole smuggling ring. And Gail seems to be driven by this desire to, inherit, but also potentially dismantle his legacy.
It's almost like she's playing this dangerous game, manipulating people and events to get what she wants and achieve that goal.
And I think the novel suggests that she believes this map and whatever element it leads to could actually reshape the world.
Right. So this brings us to another key character, Dr. Dan Kotler.
Yep.
And he's an archaeologist, and he gets kind of caught in Gail's web of intrigue.
Right, because she manipulates him into helping her decipher these clues in the map.
Right.
Promising him, knowledge, adventure.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's a really dangerous path that he goes down.
It is, and this is where things start to pick up. Gail gives Kotler these 3 artifacts: a brass plate with coordinates, a sunstone, and a compass. And she claims that these are like the keys to unlocking the map's hidden message.
And amazingly, Kotler actually deciphers the clues. So using the sunstone and the compass, he discovers a hidden message on the map written in Phoenician.
Wow.
Imagine that. A message from an ancient civilization hidden within this modern forgery.
That's wild. And what does this message reveal?
The location of something called Abigail in Oklahoma City.
Okay.
So Kotler, now he's accompanied by Agent Denzel from the Historic Crimes Division.
Yeah.
They follow that lead. And what starts as this kind of historical puzzle quickly turns into a thrilling chase.
Right, because it's at the Centennial Land Run Monument in Oklahoma City where the stakes become very clear.
Right.
After this tense shootout with Gail's mercenaries, Kotler realizes Gale isn't just interested in historical artifacts.
No.
She's searching for something much more powerful and potentially dangerous.
Exactly.
So we go from deciphering these ancient clues to, like, dodging bullets.
Right.
Talk about a way to up the stakes.
Yeah.
Keeps you on the edge of your seat.
And just when you think you've got things figured out, Kotler throws a curveball.
Really?
He plants a false trail, leading Gale to believe that he's heading to Antarctica for this mysterious element.
So he's playing a dangerous game.
He is, but he needs to buy some time to figure out what Gale's really after and why it's so important.
Yeah.
So this is where the novel leaves us hanging at the end of this first part. Kotler and Agent Denzel are preparing to embark on this journey to Antarctica, but they know Gale and her mercenaries are probably right behind them.
What do you think about Kotler's decision to deceive Gale? I mean, was it brilliant? Or is he in over his head? We'll delve deeper into that and much more as we continue our deep dive into the Antarctic Forgery next time. We left off with Kotler and Denzel heading to Antarctica. They know Gale is on their trail. This part of the book really leans into the whole unforgiving nature of Antarctica itself.
Yeah, and the author does a really interesting thing by using their journey to explore, like, isolation.
Right.
You know, Villa Las Estrellas, the Chilean settlement where they land.
Yeah.
It's like this little microcosm of human resilience in the face of just extreme conditions.
Yeah. Total opposite of the fast-paced chase in Oklahoma City.
Right.
The book really takes its time describing the landscape, the cold, the vastness. It's almost like Antarctica is a character itself.
And you get this feeling that it's a place untouched by history.
Yeah.
Almost resisting any attempt to uncover its past.
Yeah.
But then, boom, a secret that shatters that whole perception.
What's that?
A hidden Nazi base.
Whoa, okay, hold on. So we go from a historical treasure hunt to, like, full-blown conspiracy theory.
Yeah, the author doesn't shy away from the darker parts of history.
For sure.
A Nazi base, complete with a U-boat.
Really?
Called the Abigail. It's this chilling reminder of a period a lot of people would rather just forget about.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, what were they doing there?
Exactly, and how does it connect to this mysterious element Gale is after?
Right.
So many questions
Yeah.
about what might be hidden under the ice.
Yeah, it's like peeling back layers of a historical onion, and each layer is just more unsettling than the last.
Right, and the author uses this discovery to, like, crank up the tension even more.
Yeah.
Because now Gale's mercenaries are closing in. And Kotler and Denzel have to seek refuge in this base that represents such a dark chapter in history.
So it's like the enemy of my enemy is my friend situation.
Exactly. They're relying on a Nazi operation to escape a modern-day threat.
Talk about irony.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Their escape turns into this, like, descent into this labyrinth of tunnels and chambers.
Oh, wow.
It's like exploring a tomb within a tomb, you know?
And the U-boat's at the heart of it.
The Abigail, yep. Right at its heart.
So what happens? Do they make it out?
Well, things get even more complicated when Denzel gets separated from Kotler and Vicente.
Vicente.
Yeah, their guide. He's
Oh.
trapped, forced to rely on his wits and whatever he can find to survive.
While Kotler's in the U-boat.
Right. This part really shows how differently people respond to extreme pressure, you know. Denzel's fighting for his life while Kotler's alone with the ghosts of this Nazi past.
It's fascinating to see how Kotler uses his knowledge of archaeology to survive.
Right. He's not a soldier. He's a scholar thrown into this life or death scenario.
Yeah.
He uses the U-boat supplies, figures out its systems, understands its history.
All while trying to avoid Gale.
All while trying to stay one step ahead. Yeah.
It's incredible.
Totally. It's like a testament to human adaptability.
Uh-huh.
And then there's this secret lab within the base. This is where things get really mind-bendy.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Hints at experiments by Isaac Newton.
No way.
Yeah, alongside evidence of someone else working there in the 20th century.
So we've got ancient civilizations, Nazis, and now Newton.
It's like the author's weaving together all these threads of scientific history and conspiracy.
That's wild. So what does it all mean? What is this element Gale's after?
Well, this is the big revelation for Kotler. It's not some artifact or natural resource. It's a substance, something that can manipulate light.
What?
Yeah, and create invisibility.
No way.
Potentially stolen from Newton's lab.
So this isn't just about historical secrets anymore. This
Yeah.
is about a technology that could change everything.
Right. Warfare, espionage, everything.
Yeah, it's a huge deal.
And this is where the book taps into these real-world anxieties about scientific advancements. Like, what happens when this knowledge falls into the wrong hands? What are the ethical implications?
And while all this is happening with Kotler, Denzel is still trying to survive, right?
He's desperately searching for a way to contact the outside world, all while evading Gale's people. It's a race against time.
Yeah, with the fate of the world hanging in the balance.
It's interesting how the novel shows both Kotler and Denzel facing these huge challenges.
Right.
Each trapped in their own way, relying on their skills to survive.
Yeah.
Fighting for different reasons, but connected in this high-stakes situation.
So the tension is just building and building.
You know, time is running out, the consequences are huge.
And then what?
Denzel finds something.
What is it?
A cache of weapons and supplies inside the Nazi base.
Wow, so now he has a way to fight back.
Right. He's not just trying to survive anymore.
Yeah, he's taking the fight to them.
Exactly. And that sets the stage for this, thrilling climax where everything comes together. Kotler, Denzel, Gale, the element. It all leads to this confrontation that'll determine the fate of the world.
So we left off with things about to get real. Denzel has weapons, Gale's closing in. What happens in this final confrontation?
It's intense. Denzel, he takes the weapons he found and uses a mini-sub from the base to attack.
A mini-sub, like from the Nazi base.
Yep. He turns this World War II relic into a weapon against Gale.
That's pretty resourceful.
It really shows his dedication to stopping Gale and protecting Kotler. But his actions, well, they lead to a sacrifice.
He doesn't make it.
No. Denzel gives his life to make sure Kotler can get away, to deal with the element. It's a really powerful moment in the book.
Wow, so now Kotler's alone. He's got to be feeling the weight of that loss.
He is. And he knows he can't let Denzel's sacrifice be for nothing. He's facing this huge decision, what to do with this element that's caused so much pain.
I can't imagine he just gives it to Gale.
He doesn't. Instead, he uses the U-boat's torpedo tubes to launch the element into the ocean.
He gets rid of it.
He buries it deep in the Antarctic waters. He knows how dangerous it is, and he can't risk it falling into the wrong hands.
So it's a victory, but at a huge cost.
Right. He saves the world, but loses a friend.
Does the book give any sense of closure? What happens to Kotler and Gale?
It's a bit ambiguous. Gale's presumed dead, and Kotler goes back to his life. But there's a twist.
A twist, seriously.
In the very end, we find out Gale is alive. She sends Kotler a message, letting him know she escaped. It leaves you feeling uneasy, like the threat's still out there.
Wow, so she's still out there. What about all the artifacts, the clues? What happens to those?
They end up in a museum, their historical importance recognized. But the Nazi base, its purpose, it's left as a mystery. The author leaves us with those unanswered questions about history.
This whole deep dive has been wild. Forgeries, Nazis, scientific secrets. What do you think this all means? What are your final thoughts on the Antarctic Forgery?
I think the novel is a reminder that history isn't always straightforward. You know, it's full of gaps and secrets, and this desire to find those secrets, it can be dangerous.
Yeah, the element itself is a good example of that.
Right. It shows how powerful knowledge can be and how easily it can be used for good or bad. It raises those ethical questions.
So where does this leave us? What should our listeners take away from all of this?
Be curious, but be careful.
Uh-huh.
It's great to be interested in history's mysteries, but remember there can be risks involved.
Well said. It's like searching for knowledge is a double-edged sword.
Absolutely.
Well, that was incredible. A huge thanks to you for joining us on this deep dive into the Antarctic Forgery. And to all our listeners, thanks for tuning in to The Deep Dive.
Thanks for tuning in to Deep Dive, the Novel After Show. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to share it with your fellow book lovers and leave us a review. And visit kevintomlinson.com/books to dive into your next adventure.